Okay, Miss INTJ, tell us about the Real Housewives of the Haunted.
Welcome to the Real Housewives of the Haunted. And as someone who's never seen any Real Housewives, I'm going to assume that it's ghosts that are trying to keep the haunting of their houses acceptable. In this show, also, interestingly enough, because of how ghosts and time work, it's not just Victorian era ghosts. There are ghosts from many different decades and time periods.
And they're interacting with each other.
And they're all interacting with each other. And they don't understand the wild ways of the 1990s ghosts. And you've got the Victorian ghosts. And then you've got Regency era ghosts.
That's a movie I would watch.
Yes. And like the girls were going to Cabo. All the ghosts.
All the ghosts.
All the ghost girls going to Cabo.
That is a reality show I would watch.
Yeah. Will you make it on the Real Housewives of the Haunted?
Yes. I don't know if I would.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm willing to find out.
MGM Studios, hit us up.
Yeah.
We've got ideas. Also,
and you can't have them.
Also, workplace romance in the world of monsters under one bed. Where it's a slow burn office romance where two monsters are assigned to haunt to spook two children in a bunk bed.
All right.
And so it plays off of the in one bed or only one bed trope of a lot of like slow burn romances.
But so it's just like an enemies to lovers.
Yeah, it's kind of like an enemies to lovers. It's a slow burn, but it's a workplace drama romance because they have to spook these two children under one bed. It's funny.
It does sound funny.
Yeah, so MGM Studios, hit me up on that one too.
Why don't you just become a writer?
It's hard to break into the industry. People did either of those two things I pitched sound like something you would go see in the movie theaters this year? Yeah. No, because people like safe. People like to see things that they've seen before. They want to go see The Fast and the Furious 27. How fast can we make it to the moon?
I feel like usually when I go to watch a movie, it's because, that's like the first interesting movie I've heard of in a long time.
I know.
That's
how we think. That's not how Big Money thinks.
I have a question for you, Miss INTJ. Are you feeling Irish today?
I suppose.
Because on St. Patrick's Day, we're all Irish.
But St. Patrick wasn't Irish.
So why is it associated with Ireland?
St. Patrick was a missionary in Ireland.
Okay, but he got rid of the snakes, right?
Yes, but I think they were figurative.
Oh, you don't think it was real?
Yeah. Guys, we have exciting news. We just promoted a CEO of our company.
Yes! Where is she? She's not even here.
We had a business meeting and the two of us decided we needed a CEO, so we chose one.
We decided we should try to be professional.
We try to be more professional. We have a calendar. We actually calendared out for the rest of the quarter.
That's really good for me.
Yeah. And then we have a planning meeting in April for the next quarter. It's very exciting.
You guys, should I show them it? Or is that giving two sneak peeks?
I think that's too much of a sneak peek, but we have a calendar.
It's huge.
We have a plan. We have a CEO.
We have, the episodes scheduled out. We have our filming dates of what we're filming on what dates.
Yep.
We take this very seriously.
We take this very seriously.
And also, shout out Miss INTJ.
Yep, we got new mics so we can have guests on because this receiver now has for 4. So we got that. We're testing those out today.
I like to think that we're saying all this and then I'm going to edit and the audio's crap, and that would be very ironic. Yeah. But let's just hope the audio sounds great right now.
Fingers crossed the audio worked out really well.
And if it doesn't, we're just figuring it out.
Also, to address some people's concerns in the comments, ENFP is our social media ambassador.
Oh yeah, we do get comments of people who are like, I don't know what they think, but they're like, why doesn't INTJ ever respond?
Yeah. No, we joke that it's for your own safety, but it's really, we're playing to our strengths. She's our social media ambassador. I do the business side of a lot of this stuff.
She does. Originally, it was kind of you just...
Originally, I just showed up.
Just sat on the couch and shared your thoughts.
Yeah, I do the business elements. She does the social media. She does a lot of the editing. I do a lot of the thinking. And
then we have a CEO. Insert photo.
Insert photo.
Our proud CEO. Phone, be quiet. Yeah. I know, I'm so popular. Sorry, guys. It was my dad.
It's just the pharmacy telling her prescription's ready.
What's sad is you wouldn't be far off.
It's just her dad telling her prescription's ready. That's all the good news. Welcome to the INTJ and Cat Show. The cat is...
Pinch.
I'm wearing green.
I still wanted to pinch you.
This isn't a dream. You've met her before. You'll meet her again. My favorite calico.
Yes.
Rhea, the CEO.
Absolutely. Shout out. Shout out.
If we could all be so cat.
We love her, and she's warming up to me more and more. It just took a few years, but she's finally warming up to me, I think.
You are quieter around her.
Yeah, it's the antidepressant. What can I say? What did I say about feeling calmer?
Hi, welcome to the INTJ and Cat Show. I'm your host, INTJ, and today we are not featuring a cat, but we are featuring a cute little puppy dog. It's about the same size as a cat. That is the same size as Archie.
What if that's an abnormally large chair inside a car?
Could be.
Maybe that dog is massive.
The dog's name is Leia.
This is Leia. It's adorable.
Cutie, those big eyes.
Is it a pug or like a mutt? Maybe a mix of a pug and something else?
Some type of, yes.
Look at those eyes.
Whose animal is it?
Your username is Nekokami-Sama.
Your dog is adorable. Please, everybody, send us pictures of your pets to the INTJ and Cat Show.
Yay.
We have been gathering the photos.
Evidence!
We've been gathering evidence that you have pets. And we're going to try and type animals in an episode that we plan to film in April, but that means you probably won't see it till summer.
Not true.
Till May or June, which would be summer.
Better late than never.
No. I mean,
It's coming.
but keep sending us your photos. We'll keep featuring them episode by episode, but we'll also have a big episode all together that we're planning to do.
Exactly.
So, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for loving your pets. Go love somebody else's pet with permission.
And love me. Most importantly.
Yep, I suppose you could love her.
Love your local ENFP today. They need it.
Your local, yep.
They need it more than anyone.
I'm not sure that's true.
They do. We need a lot of affirmation. Speaking of, hey, and welcome to the ENFP and INTJ show. I'm your local certified MBTI practitioner, ENFP, and this is my best friend, INTJ, and she
likes patterns.
That's right, and we're not really wearing patterns today. Actually, I am. My skirt is a pattern.
Her skirt is a pattern. I'm wearing solid colors. And we're both wearing green as a respectful nod to St. Patrick's Day, which
Absolutely. Those green rolling hills of Ireland.
Right around the corner.
What are we talking about today?
Well, in honor of St. Patrick's Day.
I secretly asked that because I forgot.
Because...
Not true. Just kidding.
In honor of St. Patrick's Day, and because we just love all holidays, we thought what's really interesting is MBTI and culture.
Yeah, we're going international today.
Yeah. So how is the culture that people are brought up in, how does it affect their MBTI and what's their experience been? We will kind of put a caveat on this because we were discussing this a little bit before, is that a lot of times when we say culture, we assume macro culture, so cultures in a really large sense, which might be nationality or like continental cultures.
Mm-hmm. Or even regional could be.
Yeah, you could even get to regional, especially like we're in America, so we could talk about the American South or the Pacific Northwest.
Big country.
But you know, when we posed the question, we didn't really put any parameters around it. And so I think that most people kind of answered from either a regional or a national standpoint.
Which is good. It's a good place to start.
Which is good. We do want to acknowledge that there are like cultures of cities, cultures of ethnic groups, there are cultures of families, there's even like cultures within friend groups and stuff like that. Yeah. And so like you can get really niche into like these micro cultures.
Institutional cultures,
institutionalized culture,
campus culture, church culture, specific churches. Like you could go any way with it.
We're probably not. Who knows? This is never scripted, so we could always go off onto that and talk about that. But yeah, we just wanted I think a really good analogy for culture I've heard is like. Culture is kind of like the greenhouse, and it creates the environment for certain things to flourish and grow, and other things to not do as well. And within MBTI, like what greenhouses have you experienced as a person that has like enhanced or maybe been more difficult for your experience within your type?
Yeah, because culture impacts and influences your personality, how it's expressed, how you navigate your own personality and how you'll express it to others. And again, that can be positive, negative, neutral. There's so many aspects to it.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit of a last minute thing.
This is all super subjective. We did not do any research or any studies. We just asked people. We said, hey, what's your opinion?
I remember months ago How long have we been doing this? 5 months now?
Yep, we're about 5 months in.
Super exciting. 5 months.
One subscriber a month.
Guys, look how dedicated this ENFP has been to like starting something and sticking to it. Okay, 5 months, crazy. It does help that I love doing this. But anyway, point being, a few months back when we kind of were first starting up again, we started writing a list of topic ideas. This was actually one of the first ones I thought of was, oh, someday we'll talk about MBTI and culture and how culture influences MBTI, you know, your personality type. I thought, oh, we'll do that way down the line. We need lots of time to research it. But with St. Patrick's Day coming up, literally a week ago, we were like, why don't we just talk about it?
Yeah.
You know, we don't need to go into it being like, oh, listen, this is going to be a perfect presentation about it. But we need to start somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we've realized in doing this is like all the topics that we kind of want to talk about. I mean, for me, I kind of always suspected this. I think your journey might have been a little bit different, where whenever we approach anything, which is a little bit interesting, like as an INTJ, I'm like, that looks like a lot and it's very intimidating.
Yeah.
Well, let's just start working at it and chip away until like we find something that looks like what we want to. Where my experience with you when we approach something is like, let's do it perfectly the first time, which you think is like a little bit like flip-flop in like assumptions about personalities. But I think it's like for part of the INTJ's brain, or my INTJ brain, is like you can always improve something and make it better, so you're never going to get like the perfect. So why not just start somewhere?
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of cultures, I think my family culture and some other influences caused me to be more, maybe compared to other ENFPs, a little more cautious when I have new things. I'm like, oh, but if I can't do it perfectly, but I am getting better at like, oh, let's just give it a go and see how it goes. It's not going to be the end of the world. So,
Mountain Dew break.
Beautiful ASMR. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So we did, to be fair, we did a little preparation. It's not like we're just like, let's just turn on the camera and start talking.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, what I was going to say is like, so doing this podcast, one of the things that we've discovered that more about ourselves, but that there's so many topics, like, there is not an end to the depth. There's not an ocean floor we've yet discovered in issues with MBTI. So when we're like, let's talk about culture, it's like, well, how many episodes are we going to be able to do that are going to still be fulfilling talking about culture? Yeah. At least 2, probably 1,200.
We could probably do a whole series on it, and that is our intent. We can't say when we're going to film part 2 or whatever, but
it's not on the calendar yet.
It's not, so it doesn't exist yet. We have no way of knowing until it's on the calendar. But yeah, this is a starting off point. And so something I did about a week ago, I think it was about a week ago, I decided, well, we're going to be filming within a week, so why don't I just put it out there now? I went ahead and went on our YouTube community post, which, by the way, if you are not subscribed, subscribe so you can see, and turn on the notifications so you can actually see when we post community posts.
Smash that bell.
Yes, smash the bell. But that's what the bell is there for, so that way you can see when we do community posts too, because usually once a week sometimes will ask people questions and I want your feedback on stuff. And in this case, I actually put the question out there and I'll read it here in a minute, but something along the lines of like, hey, we're doing this video idea, just let me know, how do you personally think your culture, whether it's national or regional or whatever, has influenced or impacted your personality? And that is intentionally a very broad question.
And you know what we found out? Y'all are a bunch of negative Nancys.
Well, we'll get into that. An interesting, something we noticed is most
negative
people
Nancys
immediately went to the negative impacts, but like, I'm not going to blame you for that because I do the same thing. I immediately am like, oh yeah, how has culture negatively impacted? But I think that's kind of like human nature. But it was interesting because I realized, only a couple people actually said something genuinely positive and nothing negative. And now I'm sure those people could also find something negative. But it was an interesting observation. Anyway, that's an aside. We'll get into that. But I basically just posed the question. I also put it on our TikTok. And I think on our Instagram. So we got some responses. Most of them came from the community post though, which again, another reason to check out our community post.
Yes, and thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. We couldn't do it. And wow, what an international audience
we got so many responses and like people from all over. I expected, because of our analytics shows mostly an American audience, I was shocked to see there were really only a couple Americans responding. Most of you guys are from like totally different parts of the world that we've never been to.
And when we do our next show, our next YouTube channel, Couch Surfing, we'll come visit you.
Yes! Yes.
Yes. Couch surfing is many years down the road, but we're going to travel the world and sit on people's sofas and interview them about life.
We have a lot of goals. Will they ever come to fruition?
Well,
stick around and find out. So anyway, we posed the question. I left it intentionally broad because the point of this episode, if we hadn't made it clear before, is not... here is our in-depth research where we've read all these papers.
Yeah, this is not.
I would love to do that eventually.
This is not an oceanography. Hold on, I'm getting there. This is not an oceanography. We've done the scientific research and we're studying the depths of the ocean. We're in a tidal pool and we're poking the sea anemones.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
We're poking the sea anemones.
Define oceanography. Stop! Keep talking. I was really interested.
We're looking at the minnows. We're checking out the starfish.
What?
Did you learn what you needed to learn?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. Like, we're not doing the deep study. We're not marine biologists.
Yeah. This is we're starting to dip our toes into that ocean.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really proud of myself for that one.
Really, how did your reading go?
Don't make fun of me.
No,
I don't know stuff like you know stuff.
I just read. What's wrong?
Nothing. I don't like the mic because it's ugly and it ruins my outfit.
Well, you could have clipped it right there and then run it behind the shirt.
No, but then it's too loud. I have to put it lower.
But we could have turned the volume on your mic down.
Oh. It's okay. We'll deal with it. It's okay.
We could literally just turn your volume down and my volume up.
Literally fine. I'm fine.
Fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. I just want to do a little layout. We didn't even talk about this beforehand, but just for my own brain, a little layout of how we're gonna like an outline for the episode.
Okay.
Because that always helps my brain.
Welcome to our thesis statement for the episode.
No, we don't need to do all that. Okay?
In today's episode, we will first discuss the MBTI types that overlay certain cultures in the world. Then we will discuss...
I think a thesis statement has to be a sentence, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it could be 2 sentences. Or you could use a semicolon.
Okay. So
The winky face.
I posed the question and we got responses. So I think the main part of this, I don't know if we're going to be able to go over every response, but I would like to at least go over a few of your guys' responses. I think that's important because I think that's where we want to start with this is kind of just get a feel for... we could talk about how we think culture, and I do think we will do that. I just also like to know how the rest of the episode is going to go.
We're going to do a broad statement.
Otherwise, I will get so derailed.
Of the country that we live in, what traits it has that follow like Myers-Briggs that are not our traits, a little bit of our experience. Then we're going to look into what y'all have said in the culture you came from. We're going to try and identify, unless you identified for us, some traits of the culture that you came from and the conflicts and stuff like that.
That's great.
And then we're going to talk about some positives and negatives. So.
Yeah, because I was like, when I started thinking about this episode a week ago, before I even asked the question, I was like, man, this could go... Let me actually read this to you before we do what you suggested. I actually wrote down my thoughts in general. Like, number one, I'm thinking, what are the general personality types of the different countries? And I wrote down a whole bunch that I'm personally interested in. And then I said, how does personality type and culture vary within the U.S. itself by region? And maybe other countries that are super large that have their own regions. Or, a country doesn't even have to be geographically large to have its own regions, right? Sometimes you'll see a small country where it's like, oh yeah, the people up north are wildly different than the people in the South. I also wrote down, how does one's broader culture and societal expectations influence their expressed personality traits? Culture also goes beyond, like we were just saying, there's many forms of culture, macro culture, microculture, and how might insert personality type be experienced in one culture compared to another. For example, I'm obviously, if you don't know this, I'm an ENFP. We had an ENFP friend from Russia that lived with us for a while. And it was always interesting to compare. We're both ENFP, and obviously there's so many factors that influence who we are, but culture is a big piece. And so how did culture change how we express our ENFP-ness, Penis. Anyway, so that is where my mind went. And so just to be clear, that's why I'm excited about the topic, and there's so many future episodes we could do about those specific things.
The ocean is vast.
So this is going to be a very light touch on the topic.
Yes, you're an ENFP.
Yes, I am.
And I'm an INTJ.
Yes.
We're both in America.
That's the rumor.
And you would say that America is an ESTJ culture?
When I did the workshop, I feel like I bring up the workshop at least once in every episode.
It's good. They need to know that we're not just BSing everything, that there are some credentials here.
Exactly. Hey, I didn't put my pin on, but believe me. So when I went and did the certification workshop with the Myers-Briggs Foundation, one of the things that we learned, which I found really fascinating, is every nation can be defined by one personality type. And I don't think that was necessarily based on the results. So it wasn't necessarily, this is the percentage of the population, this is the most common type. It's more so what traits does that culture encourage, amplify.
Yeah. So a lot of TE and a lot of SI in America.
So yeah, America was best defined as ESTJ. In some ways, I would also argue you could make an argument for ESTP.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at like the entertainment industry and the importance of the entertainment industry, the importance of individuality.
We might be leaning more ESTP, especially in the last 20 years.
And I think when comparing to other countries that seem way more J traits than we are, it does feel silly sometimes for me to think America's a J culture.
Yeah, I would hop on board with an ESTP idea.
Yeah.
Which would be SE.
Yeah.
TI.
SETI FENI.
Yeah. And so for you being an ENFP, like what I used the analogy the other day, it doesn't work quite as well if we switched over to an ESTP culture, but I said like watching you in American culture is kind of like watching a clown at the DMV. Where there is like a structure and an order and like a seriousness that like...
And that's kind of the more ESTJ.
Yeah, you were unentertained by, but they are all entertained by you.
Like I think... Yeah, see, this is where it gets tricky before I get into that, when I'm thinking about the ESTP versus the ESTJ, that's why it's tricky, because if you look at the government side of our country and the bureaucracy, it's more of an ESTJ personality. But then other aspects of culture could be more ESTP.
Well, I think I would argue, like, in America, it's changing again, especially since the pandemic, where everything got shut down and like a lot of things got moved to a digital forum, especially like education and stuff like that. But the school system...
I was waving at the digital people.
Oh, hi, digitals. But like the school system is very much built to plug into like the government ideal, and funded by the government, but also it's like it encourages the traits of ESTJ. And I know like there's a TED Talk that we will link.
Do you think we'll ever do a TED Talk someday?
That'd be insane. I'll give you the link to it because it's going to be a little bit hard for me to find.
Okay.
But we'll link it if you want to watch, because I think it was really interesting. Where it's Myers-Briggs in math, basically, where this woman went into the school system and she was working with elementary school kids, but basically just working like NE, NI, SE, SI.
Okay.
And the way that they approach math, like
the perceiving function.
Yes. The NI kids could just stare at the math problem, nothing's going on, and then like, that's the answer.
Yeah, they're all doing it.
The NE kids, like, it looks like they drew a treasure map and then they're going nowhere and bam, they got it.
Yeah.
The SI kids really wanted like lots of repetition. And the SE kids needed like physical representations of the math that they were doing. So they needed like 3 cubes and 3 cubes and then they count 3 cubes and for it to be 6 cubes.
That was the SE
kids.
Yeah.
And like my educational system, like my experience in education was way more SESI based in learning.
That makes sense. Hold on, guys. Change the battery.
Battery!
Hold on. This is my favorite part of every episode we film. When I block your face. Okay, anyway.
I have a lovely face. So that would just be like either the SE or the SI, which I would say is probably the dominant trait in America.
Yeah. Like I said, I think in some aspects you could argue ESTP, but I think I would also go back to, no, it does lean ESTJ for the most part. And so before I talk about
being a clown at the DMV,
DMV, and being an ENFP in America, same thing. Just to go over those I do think if you grew up in public school especially, it is pretty clear, I think in most schools, like extroversion is encouraged more than introversion. And I think that happens in a lot of spaces. Obviously, you might end up in some careers where that's not as noticeable, but even in the workplace, like extroversion in America is generally encouraged more. I definitely saw that a lot in school growing up. Same could be said for all of the others. Sensing, for thinking over feeling or putting logic before emotion. And then J traits over the P traits. So we prefer the judging over the perceiving. So just to help give some context to like, what the heck does that even mean? That's kind of what we mean by that.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, I work full-time, not on the pod. And as someone who...
You work with a lot of people.
I work with a lot of people. And with NI being my dominant trait, after I spend a day at work having to extrovert, I even roll my eyes as I say extrovert, I do need to go like into heavy counterbalance. So it's very common for me to just disappear for several hours when I get home, or disappear for several hours before I go to work, to prepare, to kind of step out of my preference, and function and in that way.
Exactly.
Healthcare.
So when you ask me, being an ENFP growing up in America, I should have taken time to write notes because I'm like, man, there's so many things I can go with that.
Well,
no, these are great questions.
I know.
I'm just so like,
one thing I'm
I
realizing
need
as we're
time.
discussing this is what we discussed when we did our React one.
I know.
Is like,
My
you need more time.
My TE is too buried down.
Yeah.
Because even when I'm like, oh yeah, my dad's the ENTP, because when I start thinking of my parents, I'm like, oh, but that gets into, it's like, yes, that is a microculture, but it also is a familial thing, and that's another topic we want to get into.
The problem is that her NE is taking her everywhere while her TE is trying to answer the question.
Exactly. And my FI, like I have
And her FI is trying to figure out how she feels about the whole
I have
thing.
to take time to process my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I'm more prepared to let other people talk about their experiences and you talk. And then the next time we get into the MBTI and Culture, I will come prepared to be
Fair
like,
enough.
this is my experience. Please go ahead. Do you have, like, general thoughts on American culture and, like, in general, how you've experienced it?
Yeah, I don't know if I found, like, I've traveled predominantly American culture, but I have traveled around America. I'm originally from the South, but I've been, all over. And I've traveled outside of America into different cultures. And I've yet to find a culture that I would say is kind to NI.
I was thinking about that. I'm curious if there is a culture out there that actually prioritizes that.
Which is fair, because even among NI users, sometimes, and it could be the effective culture, but sometimes we have a hard time fully tapping in and being kind to that NI, because it's vibes. It's kind of the best way to describe it. So with that, I think my TE has gotten over strengthened in some ways. Especially, we talk about an ESTJ culture, and I have an ESTJ mother. I can TE extremely well. I kind of default over to that if I need to in public defend a stance, or school was very hard for the introverted side of me, not hard for the thinking side of me. And this might make me sound exceptionally pretentious, but I think that there are going to be some people that might maybe understand, because when you kind of dance together with the NI and the TE, you start talking about things that nobody thinks about or cares about. And so you're writing your English paper and you're hitting concepts that don't fit the structure what your English professor or teacher wanted you to hit. They're like, you were supposed to talk about the symbolism of blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And instead you talked about the cat. I did have a philosophy teacher once who was like, how did you pull the existentialism in the cat in this whole thing? And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, well, you did good. You should have written about everything else. But that's a philosophy class, so.
I could imagine growing up in the American school system, because that's what we're talking about right now, would be difficult for NT types in general, especially ENTP and INTJ, maybe INTP as well, just because ENTP and INTJ in particular, like, you guys want to think outside the box.
Yeah.
You don't want a rigid, this is how you're supposed to do it, and that's the way that the ESTJ thinks. No, this is the way you do it.
I think I am really grateful for ESTJ Mother, ESTJ Culture, in the way of, like, they actually uphold, like, systems, because my mind will build a system and then want to move on from it and go do something else. And so for me, growing up in, like, a more structured culture, it helped to ingrain more conscientiousness and better habits in me.
Yeah.
Because I have, like, deep care, but I'm not actually that conscientious. So things like, hey, like, for my mom, right, when we were very, very small, it's like, this is your morning routine. Like, before you can go to whatever the next thing is, like, make your bed, change out of your pajamas, brush your teeth, brush your hair. Like, these things have to happen.
Yeah.
And
was that something you naturally were inclined to do, or
no, there was no inclination as, you know, a 6-year-old.
Because I imagine, like, maybe a small SJ child
has the naturally, like, so, like, there's a structure of, like, teeth, hair, bed, pajamas, teeth, hair, you know? And so, like, those little, like, microstructures that were built in, like, that made me a more conscientious person.
Yeah.
Or, like, just because you're capable of, like, doing it whenever doesn't mean that you should do it whenever. Go do that right now. You know, that never leave off for tomorrow what you can do today and stuff. So that grew in, like, conscientiousness in me, which I think is a very SJ trait, which I wouldn't have naturally. And I would just be, like, leaving trails of destruction behind me as I'm off building things.
Yeah. This kind of gets into the familial side of things, but it is kind of, since we're talking about microculture, do you feel like your mom encouraged your, like, what was the balance of encouraging you in your, I want to think outside the box, I want to push the limits, but also, like, teach you the importance of sometimes you do need to fall, like, do you feel like there was a balance?
Yeah, I think my mom, like, was pretty well balanced. I think it helped that I was not the first child.
Yeah.
I think, like, when we use the analogy of, like, a clown at the DMV for you, I think that was pretty good. I don't know of, like, a really good comparison.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, a Dexter comparison in a not, like, murdery way. Where it's like you have these compulsions to function this way, but you have to make it function within society in this way.
Yeah.
And, like, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But, like, not in a immoral or murdery way.
Imagine if you grew up in, like, an imaginary INTJ culture.
Yeah.
You would be either too powerful or very scary at this point in life.
And I think, like, overall, like, as an INTJ, like, the ability to step out of the box and to look in the box, I think, which you kind of highlighted. For culture, that means that, like, I actually have overall a pretty good time because I can, like, if I see a system that I don't like, I can get in it, learn it, get to the top of it, change it, move on.
Yeah.
But learning that patience of, like, okay, go small talk with Fran, get her to like you, so she signs this, so you can go there, so you could, like, all of that feels very mundane. And I think super, like, when I was younger, it's very frustrating. And it's like, let's just set the fence on fire.
Yeah.
Where now it's like, okay, we'll just go through the system and then we'll change the rules for how fences get put up.
Yeah.
And then nobody has that problem again.
Yeah. I guess that's what I want to do when we actually come back to this topic and go over the details of it. How I would approach is I would want to sit down with my notes and be like, okay, how do I think my culture has encouraged aspects of my personality? How do I think it has discouraged certain aspects of my personality? That's kind of what I'm really looking for. And it is tricky when we get into the microculture of the family because that is something I think will be a separate.
Well, I mean,
we all have our own microcultures even outside family.
Yes, even outside family we have microcultures.
Like I mentioned, the dance studio when I was growing up, I also had church. We all have our things.
Yes, our things.
But even those microcultures can be a reflection of the macro culture they exist in.
But yeah, I mean, it is a kind of a silly, this is like, we're like fish trying to analyze the pH in water. You know, when
Yeah.
we're like people talking about culture, it's
Yeah.
like it's really hard for us to fully step out of it and like,
Or it's like
observe.
astronomers trying to observe the Milky Way even though we exist in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like we can notice currents, we can notice like dead zones or like thriving zones, but
You can only get so objective
yeah.
in your own head.
Yeah. But I think, like, for the most part, it's helped being in kind of a culture that's a little bit different than me. It's helped balance me. The only thing that really didn't do a whole lot for me was my F, which I had to go on my own journey for that.
Yeah. That would be a whole interesting thing to get into too.
Choo-choo.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our dip our toes in take.
Yeah, and again, it's funny because going into this, I was more focused on hearing other people, your guys' thoughts, and centering that I didn't even stop and think, oh, how has culture affected you, ENFP?
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I didn't think about that.
I was surprised as we were filming this that you were like resistant to talking about it, and now that I've tried, I'm like, oh, because you didn't prepare to talk about it.
Yeah.
But as we kind of did, I'm like, oh, I understand. You
That's what I'm
normally give
learning with
yourself
this
like some
show.
security and prep work, but there have been times. And I mean, we're pleasant and lovely, so I think y'all think that we're probably perfect. But there have been times, as we've interacted filming this, that one of us has had a really strong reaction to something that's like a little bit outside of like what you would expect.
Yeah.
And so when I run into like rigidity with you,
Yeah.
it's like very odd. Like,
Yeah.
what just happened?
I think it's because as soon as we start touching into, oh, what are your thoughts about this? I'm like, I need to go take a whole day to really think about this. And maybe it's because my TE is so deep and I have to go through more layers.
Well, you have to reconcile it with like a bunch of stuff.
Exactly. And so that's why I'm like, oh, I'm not ready yet. With you, it's so much more accessible.
Yeah. Like,
And you're more used to using it.
I'll make up a thought on something if I don't have one.
Yeah.
I hate Jupiter. That happened one day.
Okay, but that seems like you genuinely hate Jupiter.
I do. I now I really now I have the thoughts to support it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I personally I would like to sit down again in the future and have time to think about these questions for myself and then be able to share a personal experience. So what I had said was, hey, MBTI fam, we want your input on an important video topic.
Hey, MBTI fam, we want your input on an important video topic.
I did capitalize it. I did capitalize it. And I said, we're working on a last minute video all about personality and culture. And I want your thoughts. My question is, how do you think your national culture has impacted or influenced your personality? This is a broad question, so feel free to take it in any way you'd like. And then later on in future videos, we'll get more specific. So, 28 comments. I'm sure half of them are just me responding to people. But yeah, we got a lot of great responses here. So this person, your username is ORTZMAR. How would you say that? Ortzmar?
12 replies. Did you have a full conversation?
I did have a conversation with him. Maybe he had a conversation with this other person too.
Same case but opposite. Interesting.
So you're a sensor and intuitive society.
Okay, so the person said...
I just opened that because I asked them to clarify which culture they're from. They said they're from Russia. So their answer was, I grew up in a very XSTX society, which in their case is Russia. I don't know for sure what Russia, like what the statistics would say or what maybe the Myers-Briggs Foundation would say.
I feel like I have. No, I've never been to Russia, and I hear they're warm and friendly once they actually see you.
I would think on surface level, from what I know about, I would automatically say ISTJ.
Yeah.
They are kind of known for being reserved, don't share a lot of information with other people, and obviously the ST and J. So, but obviously, I mean, this person grew up in Russia, and they say XSTX, so.
That's as much as they can identify.
Exactly. So they say, it made me develop my weak functions. But as an intuitive type, it was tough. An alien, a misfit, unaccepted, which made me hide my true thoughts and feelings almost always. The only thing is, I wish you had shared your personality type. And I don't think they did.
Well, if they feel like they've had to like not be able to share, but it is interesting because that just kind of highlight what I was talking about, where it's like with my mom's SJ, it had to develop like conscientiousness in me, which is weaker.
Yeah.
And so they probably had like a similar Although theirs sounds more depressing experience of like having to develop there, because I don't think I ever felt like I have to hide who I am.
Yeah.
But if they're like an ENFP, or any EN,
Yeah.
type, those are like way more demonstrative by nature and way more like I want to share, because like I'm more reserved by nature.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like I have to hide myself, because I'm like, well, it's none of your business anyway.
Yeah. I think what I was finding, which was unsurprising to me, is that as we go through the responses, what you'll see is that people who grew up in a society that value the opposite traits of themselves, they're going to have a harder time. So they might have more negative things to say because they have had to essentially prematurely develop their inferior functions or less preferred traits in order to function in their society easier, right? So that's going to happen. Fill in the blank no matter what the type is. If your culture values traits that are opposite of what's natural for you, you're probably going to have a harder time. And that's what we see here. But you could also probably find positive talking.
So when our camera memory like gets near full, I just stop talking as a sign for us to do some changes.
Yeah.
And she always just thinks it's funny because I'll be like mid-sentence, mid-word sometimes, and just...
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
And that's her cue. But you'll probably grow like some resilience in you too, which everybody needs a little bit of resilience. The world doesn't have enough grit.
Yeah, we like grits. Hey, you haven't made me grits.
Oh, I forgot about it.
This person, your username is Pink Tea Line. I see you comment on a lot of our stuff. Shout out. They had a long response here. They say, in Latvia, everyone's a pessimist, everyone's a cynic. So proud of their culture, but so depressed at the same time. I'm a happy, sanguine ENFP. My worldview is very positive. I'm a very unbothered person that loves life itself. To be honest, Latvians can be quite suffocating. They expect this and that out of you. If you don't meet those conditions, you won't be welcomed. So again, this is an example where you have a certain type that feels like they're growing up in a society that doesn't value those traits that they have. Their traits just don't bode well for someone as weird and unconventional as me. I feel at home where anything is accepted rather than in my own tradition and culture that must strictly remain intact. I see value in both, just not for permanent residency. Yeah, they say, I am very grateful that Latvians are that proud because it means I will always return to the place I knew in my childhood, but I wish that my culture was one in which I felt at home. Based on what I'm describing, it seems like ex-STJ would be its type, but I have lived in England too, and I would not say that they have similar vibes at all. She said, or they say, I don't know your gender, they say, I get a weird FI Dom vibe from Latvia. Maybe it's their inferior TE pooping all over everyone. No idea, very unhealthy. They go on to say that they now live in Scotland. Shout out, I've been there. They say they would type Scotland as ESFJ. We later talked about that. Based on my little experience in Scotland, I probably wouldn't go ESFJ. I don't know what I would say. ESFJ didn't quite feel fitting. But we went on to talk about that because they were like, to be fair, they don't know what America's like, and I'm having to compare it from America, so.
Yeah.
So thank you for that insight.
I think FI might be like, if it's a pessimistic thing,
Yeah.
they might...
FI dominant can get a little mopey.
Yeah,
on its own.
like it can be, and it can like see. So I mean, I know that everyone wants to go to STJs, which just might be like the dominant world culture of humanity.
Maybe. They are pretty common.
Yeah, probably not an ISFP. Could be like an ISFJ type of culture, because those are some.
Yeah.
But I haven't been there. I'm just
Exactly.
if she was highlighting the feeling and stuff like that, and
because if we're just going off of what you said, pessimist, everyone's a cynic, so proud in their culture but so depressed at the same time.
I know a couple of INFJs like that.
Yeah, there's quite a few types that aren't just tied to XSTJ, that could be that, because I can think of quite a few, even N types that could be that way. But again, we're just having to move down that culture.
Again, I would imagine. I have to imagine. Hold on. Let me step into my empathy here, because I don't find like the feel like you like to be happy, and when you're not happy, you're depressed that you're depressed.
Yeah.
Where if I'm maybe a little depressed, I'm like, that's unfortunate, and I just life keeps going.
Yeah.
And so like the weight of like feeling suffocated by like other people's like emotions or my emotions within other things isn't as strong as like an ENFP in a culture that's like kind of doom and gloom.
Yeah.
So that's gotta be challenging. Probably people who lead with T or have T more up front probably do better there.
Yeah, that's possible.
That's a very good
That was
count.
my favorite. Bradley just says, I don't know, meow.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, eventually someday too, if we had a big enough audience, it would be interesting too to get specific about like, hey, anyone in our UK audience or whatever, like, let me know your thoughts on it so we can like do segments on specific cultures. Like this person said, being from the UK, it's very difficult given their very ex-STJ culture. So they also think UK is ex-STJ. We're getting that repeating a lot. Culture as opposed to my INFP personality. We don't usually tend to uplift others and bring down their ideals and dreams since they don't fit in the goal-oriented or sometimes shallow system. It's not a free country to truly express yourself in my view, but much of that is a Western problem in general as opposed to some Eastern countries and cultures.
I have a statement I've decided in the three comments that we've read and our discussion where you kind of like buffered. I think that any systematized culture will have to almost be expressed through an STJ. Because when we dive into cognitive functions, F is very hard to it's make concrete.
Okay, yeah.
N is very hard to make concrete, but S is very easy to make into a concrete, and T is very easy to make concrete.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to see either S or T as the dominant function of that culture, because the more abstract ideals are going to be a lot harder to create. So maybe if you're in a very small culture, we'll see. Are you taking a nap on
Sorry,
me?
I was falling asleep.
Am I that boring?
No, I'm just tired.
Like a very small culture, like maybe some that like, because like even in the idea of like writing down stories versus oral storytelling is going to go like written storytelling is going to be much more TJ or ST. Oral storytelling is going to be much more NF.
Yeah.
So anytime anything becomes systematized, I think we're going to see that structuring of things. And so if you're not in that, you might be like, I feel this about this culture.
Yeah. Most people here in Brazil are friendly and warm, very touchy and into hugging. They love tropical places like the beach. They're festive and really enjoy doing things in groups. Even though I'm Brazilian, I'm kind of the opposite. I was raised at home by an ESTJ mother. Shout out ESTJ moms, who was pretty harsh. Oh, maybe not the harsh ones?
Well,
I don't know.
I think
it's not a bad thing.
ESTJ like just doesn't give to like the nurturing, like maternal vibe that you like watch a movie and like, oh, look at that soft, sweet mom.
Yeah.
But there are also wonderful qualities.
Yeah.
And when we do our Mother's Day episode, which I haven't told you yet, Mom, but surprise, you will be in it, and we haven't told you yet.
My mom.
You will also be in it. You can wear a mask though.
We're gonna interview the moms, guys.
We're gonna bring on the moms.
Let me finish this comment. She just says, so I grew up extremely introspective and not really into the whole Brazilian joy vibe. I've always seen it as a waste of time and energy. So yeah, I'd say I'm basically the opposite of my own culture. She says she's an INTJ.
Do you have a calico cat?
INTJ,
Could we
raised
be the
by
same?
ESTJ mom. Crazy. So yeah, that was interesting because it's kind of the opposite of what we have been reading of the more like la-di-da types growing up in a harsher culture. Where this person is like, I'm not as energetic. I'm a little more like introspective, growing up in like a la-la-la-la culture.
Yeah, I went to Brazilian church in Florida once, which
Interesting.
there's enough to jump through that.
Yeah.
But it started at 9 p.m. and I think it went till 2 a.m. and it was loud the entire time. And I think I took a nap in the back.
I think even I might have to take a nap in the back. I told the person in response, I literally am totally going off of my intuition on this one and vibes, but I have a feeling you could say Brazil is like an ESFP culture. But I don't know, for Brazilians, am I crazy saying that?
I have a Brazilian friend. You know what? Actually, he won't help us at all.
Yeah, because like I was around a lot of Brazilians at the school we both went to. You would see a lot of Brazilians and like, yeah, even the ones that maybe are more introverted personality were still had an element to them that was very like, oh, let me give you a hug, I'm warm and friendly, which is kind of familiar to Americans. But based on what I have seen of their culture, I wouldn't be surprised if like ESFP, ESFJ, or something like that, maybe. But also, I don't know for sure. Let's see. So this person says, being an INTJ born and raised in America, the most noteworthy effect, I believe, is my lack of communication. Over my lifetime, I noticed that people often ask for my opinion on matters, but no one ever seems to care how or why I reached the conclusions that I did. So I have a really bad tendency of just summing up my thoughts without explaining, which in turn can sometimes give the wrong impression.
I don't know any INTJ who does that.
Such as making me appear standoffish. Such as making me appear standoffish when I just don't agree with something. It's also led to me keeping quiet on my actual opinions for the sake of just trying to get something done. So what are your thoughts on that?
I agree.
Yeah, especially that part in the beginning, because that does seem like kind of an SJ thing, and also maybe a TE dominant thing, like with the ESTJ, as we were talking about, where it's like, you just give me your thought, give me your opinion. I don't really care so much how you got there, and like, what are the deeper meanings here? I just want your thought. Let's go with it, you know?
And that's like, because for me, as well as it sounds like H1_res. Oh, hi, Res. I see what you did there. I think that it is pretty normal when now I'll be trying to explain something. I do those jumps, which drive her batty. And she said they make it even harder when she's editing because I'll just kind of trail off and then I'll start back up again. And my mind...
I'll like start a chapter. I'm like, okay, timestamp. We start talking about this topic. 2 seconds later, she already started talking about something. I'm like, whoops.
My mind's going. And so I won't bridge the gap for people anymore because most people don't actually care about the gap being bridged.
Yeah.
If I want to go Subway, but all my friends want to go McDonald's, I just don't care. Yeah, I do often find that I just don't care enough to make an argument.
Which is funny when you're interacting with our ENTJ friend because she's always down to like, tell me your opinion. Tell me your opinion. I want your real opinion.
I think
like, I'm too tired.
It happens quite a bit that I'll bow out. And I think you even got to see it the other day when it was like...
I don't want to go down this road.
Yeah, I was like, I think I could make an argument to the negative, but I don't really. And she's like, no, I can totally debate since I know it's just chill and it's a debate. And I'm like, one, I don't believe you. And two... like, I see all the pitfalls we're about to go into.
Yeah, that was pretty entertaining. Lastly, I'll read this one up here. You gaslit me because I thought you were a duck living in Germany, and come to find out you're not a duck and you're American, so
did they say they're not a duck, or did they just say that they were American?
Well, that's true. They just said they live in the USA, so maybe they're a duck. Maybe they're an American duck. They say, oh, and an INTP wanted that. I'm an INTP 5 wing 4, and I really enjoy research. I think that living in the USA, where I can have mostly free access to information and career, has really opened many doors of interest for me. Just the fact that I can ask a question freely has led to a lot of my logical thinking and problem solving. I also like the library system.
Dewey, yeah.
Love Dewey. Mr. Dewey.
Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah.
It's actually an ingenious system, and I think Hank Green argued that we should sort our groceries in the same way. The grocery store should follow the Dewey Decimal System. Let us know what you think.
Okay.
I think that is one thing that, like, if you are T-type, free access to information in America is huge. If you want to learn.
Yeah.
I'm supportive of that.
I'm glad for that input from that person because, yeah, as you tend to see, people want to go to the negative. So it is a good reminder that, like, yeah, that is a positive aspect, especially for types like INTP, INTJ, the types that are really curious and have a quest for knowledge. Well, it's probably a great aspect of the culture.
Again, using the fish and water analogy, like, I mean, I guess I'm not a fish, so I don't know. But you know how you can't really feel wet? You can just feel like a sudden temperature change, which is how you like know, like, oh, my hand is wet. Like, because water conducts or withdraws heat like 20 times faster than air does.
Yeah.
So it's hard if you're in water to recognize the things because it's just like it's become your ambient.
Right.
So you notice the contrast, which is normally a deficit.
Yes. Y'all, when I turn this camera off, I'm going to fall over on the floor and fall asleep. And I will prove it to you and have INTJ take a picture of it, and then I'll post it at the end of this video when I'm editing. Anyway.
What if I just give you a picture of a cat?
And then I'll still put it up.
The CEO.
I'll go ahead and read. On TikTok, this person, Hisashi, They say, I'm an ENTP from the United States, specifically Tennessee and Texas. So the South. I feel race and class plays a part too. Definitely does. And again, that's a whole other aspect that we could get into in future episodes on this topic. They say, as African American, middle to low class, I felt very resource limited and deprived growing up in Memphis, Tennessee. I was not encouraged at school to be creative or to actually learn, just to listen and memorize knowledge for an SAT and other similar tests. So most of my strengths of my personality and myself I discovered later on in life. Yeah, they said they're ENTP. And I responded to that, like, obviously there's all of the elements that they laid out of race, class plays a part, region. I also think it's fair to say, like, yeah, just being an N-type in general, ENTP, ENFP, INTJs, some of our types, it's going to be especially hard in the school. And it depends on the school. Sometimes you'll end up in schools where maybe they will encourage those traits a little more, but it sounds like for you, you ended up at a school too where it's like they didn't encourage those things, so it just makes it even harder.
Yeah, I think
totally get that.
There are racial like differences all through America. The Deep South, some of the biggest racial divides is still like black and white.
Yeah.
Where like Southern California, Texas, there's a lot of like Latino influences and racial divides.
Right.
And different parts of the world or different parts of America, you're going to see different.
Yeah. So feel free to let us know too if you have any thoughts on how your race, your ethnicity, your gender has influenced, but just keep in mind we will want to focus on those as specific topics in the future, especially the gender one.
Yeah, gender's huge. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the American South. I grew up in South Carolina, in a pretty racially mixed neighborhood. But it was crazy, like the cultural differences you would find just, you know, when you're 7 years old and stuff like that. So, yeah, for sure. I think that's a super valid point.
Yeah. Yeah. So this Ren, that's your username, Ren. She says, Asian American INTP from California. Shout out. She said, upper middle class. So I had access to a lot of stuff. It allowed me to be creative and think in what ifs, NE. My TI is mostly from personal upbringing. Same goes for my inferior FE. That was intriguing to me. I am curious if you want to expand on that. Feel free to. I would be curious. But yeah, that was another example of, interestingly, an INTP that had something positive to say about their experience in American culture.
Maybe INTPs just do really well in America.
Maybe INTPs are just having a good time.
Yeah. Maybe they're just
having a good time.
Maybe they're just bros.
Yeah, we love that. So thank you for that. Appreciate that input. Just want to make sure I'm sharing everyone's thoughts. And then we had someone...
Oh, Egypt.
Fadi Sameh. I don't know how to say that name.
Sameh.
They say, yeah, INTJ from Egypt. Shout out Egypt. Let's go there. They say, people here may be nice, but I will not say standing or smart. Not sure what they meant by standing. They say, personally, I don't think I'm smart. The majority is stupid.
I think that's an INTJ.
That's kind of just an
like
INTJ
mindset.
experience across culture.
Is like, I also wouldn't say that I'm particularly clever, but there is a joke that I think was on the last episode that we published, it could be two, where we were doing something and I just told her, I'm like, you think I'm smart, really, I can just read. And it's just such an INTJ moment, right?
Yeah.
It's like, people think that you're smart. You don't think you're particularly smart. You just observed something around you and then noted the observation. Yeah. And everyone's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. But I do feel bad because that person just made it sound like everyone in Egypt is stupid.
Maybe I've never been to Egypt.
Maybe they're right. I don't know.
Well, I've been on a plane at an airport in Egypt.
Oh, okay.
It landed.
Were they stupid?
I didn't get off the plane.
Oh. So you're never going to know?
Yeah. So the plane landed. Some people got on, some people got off. They told us to stay on. And then the plane took off again, and we went to Uganda.
Oh, that's fun. Seasoned traveler over here.
Seasoned traveler.
But no, we like, I'm sure everyone in Egypt, you're very smart people. Well, probably not all of you. But hey, maybe all of you were geniuses. I don't know.
Being smart is not the be-all, end-all of life. You can be stupid. Nobody's stopping you.
I think I'm pretty average intellect. I'm pretty average.
I think that like intelligence and intellect is
Someone has to be average.
somebody has to be average. I was gonna say is I think that a lot of times we measure intelligence and intellect with like too small a ruler,
Right.
In the sense of like there's a broadness to like, and we talk about like creative intelligence or like system intelligence, and
Yeah.
like I've yet to meet someone who's smart in everything. And the problem is when you start meeting people that are like really, really intelligent in a certain area, they do begin to think that they're just smart everywhere, and that kind of makes them really dumb.
Yeah. Usually if someone is like, I'm so smart, chances are they're not actually super
like
smart.
an expert in their field could accidentally think that they're an expert in all fields.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're an expert in your field. So we'll go to you to figure out how to get the rocket to space. We won't go to you to figure out how to get kindergarteners through kindergarten.
Yeah.
Different skill set.
Yeah.
Different intelligence level.
So we'll just finish off with what our INFJ friend had to say, who now lives in Canada but grew up in Russia.
Quit doxing her. They're going to go to Canada and
I
find
know,
her.
Canada's a small place. There's like 3 houses there. She lives in one of them. So anyway.
And our other 2 friends from Canada live in the other 2.
Yeah. We could share our own thoughts based on our experience of her, but again, I think that's going to get a little too long for this episode, so I'm just going to go off of what she had to say and share her thoughts, because she has given me the permission to share. So she just said, I've been thinking, and I feel like the culture was hard, but okay, question mark? Which I very much resonate with. I understand what she means. Because for me, it's all about justice or about the right thing to do, right? But I feel like in Slavic culture, a lot of things are like, I'll do what is better for me and doesn't matter how. So she kind of goes on to kind of give some examples, but I think what we were talking about is kind of what she's saying from her perspective, the Slavic culture. Oh, sorry, I should clarify. She grew up partially in Russia and Ukraine. So that's why she's saying Slavic culture. For her, she observed that the Slavic culture was like, get your way by any means. Sometimes you might have to be a little sly to get your way. But I kind of think that's what she's trying to say and communicate here. Am I right about that? Is that how you're
Yeah. I think
perceiving that?
I mean, I could do an entire like commentary on culture, but I'm sitting quietly.
Exactly. I'm basically just trying to communicate her message here. And then she says, but the good thing is that we are so not into small talk in Slavic culture. And I can imagine for an INFJ, that's fantastic. She said, so that's great. And all the friends I had during that time in school, we had a lot of great deep thoughts and conversations. We would talk about silly things, but culture would lean more into meaningful conversations.
It'd be interesting, like, I'd love now, and Lord help us, so at the same time when we met this INFJ Russian friend, we had an ENFP Russian friend. They came together. And our ENFP Russian is, she's gone the way of the ENFPs. She's on the wind.
Yes.
So it's hard to pin her down, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Is like, we could send her a message and maybe in 3 years we'll get a response.
We would literally have to send a pigeon.
Yeah.
We don't know where she is.
What she's doing, where
Yeah.
she is, but I would be interested to see, like, because one thing that I experienced with the ENFP Russian, the one ENFP Russian, was that she would want to play a lot. And like in a more serious
I know,
culture,
it's so
like
curious.
wanting to play, I'm like, how did that go?
It does make me think, again, we'd need to hear it from her, but I would think, like, if I try to imagine myself in that situation, I would probably gravitate towards anyone that was a little bit like me.
Maybe,
I could
yeah.
imagine I would super gravitate to, if there's any other NFs around me, I'm going to gravitate towards them.
Yeah, which is maybe why they became friends.
Yeah.
Because once they got here, you're like, why are y'all friends?
Yeah.
Not that they weren't kind to each other, they just...
But it does make sense, INFJ, ENFP.
Yeah.
It ended up making sense that they were friends at that time. She says it was what it was. And she's trying to explain, which I understand. Now she's trying to look back and analyze but be more objective about it looking back now. And obviously I'm experiencing that today. I understand that feeling.
Well, I will say another observation that I think that I've made. I reserve the right to change my mind, but with all the information that I have to this point, I think as you get older, you feel less influenced by like the poles and the tides of culture.
Yeah.
Because you have become your own self and you have like...
Ideally.
Well, ideally, yeah. And you have like a strong sense of self.
Yeah.
So if you're 17 in your culture, you're going to feel a lot of the push and the pull, especially because like for America, and I'm assuming for a lot of other like cultures that I know that I've talked to, which are going to be a lot of European cultures, being 16, 17, you're still in like the education system, you're still in all of these things that have like a really heavy emphasis of like national culture on you, where as you age out, and we've only aged out to a certain extent because obviously we are not old, there's been more freedom. We've discovered who we are more and like how we can navigate within and without that culture. And so I would like, let's go to my church and find the old people and ask them how they feel like culture has affected them.
Yeah.
Because for them also, like if you're 90, the change in the expansive culture is going to have, like, you're going to have watched the tides around you change a lot more too.
See, this is such a good point, and just further goes to show there are so many different aspects to this freaking topic that you can take, right? So that's why this is going to end up being many different videos in times to come, and that's why I want you guys to comment and let us know, what are your general thoughts on this? Is there a specific way you want us to take this next? And I think this was a good overall just touch on it, give some overview, mostly to share your guys' thoughts, hear your lovely thoughts, maybe not so many of mine because I need time to think about it.
Yep. We learned something in the preparation of this.
Shout out to Miss INTJ's brain. So anyway, I think we went over enough.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Go get a snake and take it driving.
Yeah. Please don't pick up any poisonous snakes. I don't want to be liable for that.
Yeah, don't pick up, no, just take your snake for a drive.
Okay.
Because he drove the snakes out of Ireland.
In his car. But did he leave them in the ocean? Did he let them off in England? Did he put them on a ship to Spain?
On a plane.
Where did
he put the snakes on a plane?
Where did the snakes go?
He drove them to a plane.
Okay. He drove them to a plane. Snakes on a plane. That's where the movie came from.
That's where the movie came from. Snakes on a plane.
Love that. Anyway, so I hope you guys found this interesting. Please, especially on this episode, maybe more than any others, I want to hear your thoughts because I hope you have a lot of thoughts. I would love to. And it helps me.
She doesn't have any of her own.
I apparently have none, and it helps me formulate my thoughts.
Yeah.
No, I just need time to think. And yeah, so subscribe to the channel.
Tell us your favorite Leslie Nielsen film.
I thought you were about to say lesbian film.
Whoa. There's
no idea.
Rent-A-Kid. There's
That's a
Naked
lesbian
Gun.
film?
Oh. There's Airplane.
Okay.
I'm sure there's more. Those are the only three I can think of right now. And right now, Airplane's on top of that list for me. But
anyway, we have our calendar. We have some great episodes lined up. We're going to review Airplane.
Yep, that's not on our calendar. Like, comment, subscribe. Send us pictures of your pets.
Take a nap.
Let us know your thoughts on culture. Take a nap.
I hope you feel Irish today.
Yeah.
Because on St. Patrick's Day, we're all Irish.
I suppose. Yeah. That's why we wore green.
Love you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.